Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us today. Sorry, we're a little bit late. We had some technical difficulties this morning. We're just going to let everyone kind of come in and make sure we get as many people as possible. We'll start in about 5 minutes. Just some updates. I know at one point I had talked about a WordCamp Tulsa, and that has been postponed until next spring. With everything going on, they're going to have to be completely virtual, so we just decided to hold off. And next month we will have Rick Shaw with Rick's Concepts. He will be talking about hosting. And then we will have Doug Stewart with the Tulsa meetup, and he will be talking in August about local SEO. So be sure and join us for those. Just watch for those on Meetup and Facebook, and I will post everything shortly. How's everyone doing? Give people a couple more minutes. Let's see. I think that's everything I can think of. WordCamp US is also now online this year, completely virtual in October. So if you can, that would probably be a great thing to sign up for. They have a lot of really good talks.
I didn't know that. That's cool.
Yeah, they're completely virtual now. So I think WordPress is pretty much requiring all WordCamps to be virtual this year.
Yeah.
I heard.
Yeah, for sure.
Are you all doing an Austin one?
We have something scheduled, but I'm not involved yet because it just came in through Slack. And
Okay.
So we were like, hey, look, we have something up on WordCamp Central.
Sure.
Who's spearheading that? So I'm sure I will be involved at some point as we get more details going. I think we were talking earlier in the year before all this craziness happened of doing kind of mini work camps. So not a full like 2 or 3 day thing, but a 1 day thing or like a half day thing or something like that to get started.
Sure. All right. I think we've got most people. We'll go ahead and get started. Today, Cosette Hoover, she started Techie Mama, who works with WordPress and all things WordPress related. I think you do a lot of maintenance type updates, that kind of thing. She will be going over page builders, specifically, I believe, Gutenberg and Elementor today.
Yes.
And with that, have at it.
All right. Let's see my screen updates. There we go. So yes, I want to talk about specifically 2 different page builders. 2 that are popular, one because one is included in WordPress. So if you install Classic Editor, you can get out of it, but pretty much that's what you're using. And then the second is a super, super popular one called Elementor. I did a talk at WordCamp San Antonio about just page builders in general. We covered a lot more, but not in as much depth. So for this one, I wanted to cover just these 2 and actually get into a site with the same layouts and kind of look into what that looks like and everything. So, and just, I think a lot of people think that you can't do complex layouts with Gutenberg, and it is possible, and just talk a little bit more about how that's possible and how that works. If you want to follow along, my presentation is at techiemama.live, OK WP Meetup, or you can always go to it later. I'll have Sarah post that in the notes for the meetup. So Sarah talked a little bit about me. I'm Techie Mama. I started this blog when I became a mom. Now my boys are 4 and 2. I've always loved technology. I've always loved WordPress. And so I took my kind of love of technology and WordPress and what I was doing at the university setting and brought it more to my lifestyle as a mom. And now I'm helping other mompreneurs and small businesses. I do training courses and a membership for maintenance and learning, and just try and work one-on-one with people of what they need and adding features and so forth. So I love doing this. These are my boys. Gotta add a little bit of eye candy here. So we're definitely a WordPress fanatic household. Okay, so complex layouts. Some things that we need to think about with complex layouts is time to build. So the kind of start of page builders, if you go back to looking at Beaver Builder, if you look at their kind of history, which was one of, I think, the first true page builders. They were doing all of these sites and they wanted to do them faster. They saw all these like similar features and things like that they wanted to add and be able to just go boom, boom, boom and build out a site. So their kind of tagline is build a site in hours, not days. So time to build is important. How long is it going to take to build? If you're doing a landing page and stuff like that, you don't want it to take days and days and days to complete. You want to be able to add the features that you want, get the layout that you want really quickly. How fast is the site with the page builder? So everything that we add to WordPress adds additional cost, so to say. So it will slow down the site. So how fast is this page builder going to slow down your site? And if so, how much? What's kind of the balance that you want there? And I think both of these, Gutenberg comes with WordPress, so it is fast. And Elementor is pretty fast. Ease of use, how easy is it to build the site? And specifically, how easy is it to build a complex layout? Because we're talking about more complex layouts, not just kind of a blog post with text and images. And then responsive, does it look good on a mobile or a tablet? Or do you have to do a lot of tweaks for it? Okay, so Gutenberg, I'm thinking that everybody knows about Gutenberg and hoping that everybody's using it in their WordPress setup. Is anybody not using Gutenberg and still using Classic Editor? Okay. So Gutenberg is in WordPress core. It came out in 5.0. It's a simple block interface. So you add kind of building blocks. If you think of, Legos or something like that you're adding these building blocks to the system. And you have a block for text, you have a block for images, you have a block for different elements like that. It supports kind of common WordPress things, including widgets and shortcodes. And there's also reusable blocks. So the idea of kind of templating and making something reusable on multiple places exists. And it's super fast for writing and creation tool. Some of the pros and cons. So it's streamlines the writing process. I love it for blogs posting and for writing pages, but mostly for writing posts because it's so clean and easy to just go in and write. It helps visualize content as blocks, so you can see kind of where your things are getting laid out. I think a lot more than you could with the Classic Editor. You can build complex layouts without any coding skills, and it has a clean design and only shows your relevant tools. So if you're in an image block, it's only going to show you things that are relevant to images. If you're in a text block, it's only going to show you like formatting options. Some of the cons are there's still lots and lots of people that still prefer the Classic Editor I think change is hard. I was actually at Camp US when they pretty much released Gutenberg, and it's been kind of a controversial, tricky thing from the beginning. But I think we're slowly coming around, and we're slowly kind of opening up to this idea. So, but there are still many that prefer the classic editor. It's still being developed. Many consider it still in beta. This could be kind of argued one way or the other. And then, I mean, there's still very much updates coming out for Gutenberg, but at the same time, kind of the core is there. So I don't know, depending on how you look at it, you could say that's still being developed. And then complex layouts require, Sarah, can you now add people, or do I have to still bring people in?
No, I'm taking care of that. You're good.
Okay, cool. And complex layouts require usually additional plugins to set up. So the core of Gutenberg is still very, very simple. And I actually kind of like it very simple. I think there's some pros and cons about that as well, because you do have to kind of watch out for additional plugins, and if they're coded right, and if they're going to slow down your site. But at the same time, I like that Gutenberg is just clean, and it just has your basic elements. And so you have more flexibility of whether you want to go kind of the Gutenberg route and do more complex things with Gutenberg, or if your theme is taking care of that, or if you want to do Elementor or Beaver Builder or some of these other ideas that are out there. Okay, so this is just kind of my review. I think time to build is pretty quick. Responsive is pretty good. The ratings, this is just from WordPress.org. If you look at the ratings, it's pretty low, and that's, again, because of the controversialness of Gutenberg and how many people still want Classic Editor. Ease of use, I think it's super easy, and the speed is good. Complex layouts, I kind of gave it a 50% because I think it is a little harder to do complex layouts in Gutenberg, but it is possible. It's just kind of, you got kind of just, it's not as natural, I would say, as doing it in Elementor or Beaver Builder. All right, so I did a website. The websites are exactly the same in Gutenberg and in Elementor. All of this kind of similar features and stuff like that are there. And they look very, very similar. There are a couple differences, but we're going to go in and just kind of take a look at it and take a look at how it's built out. All right, so that one's Elementor. If you want to go to the page yourself, it's kind of a funky URL, but it's gutenberg.wpmudev.host. Okay, so let's take a look at Gutenberg. So to edit these pages, you don't have an additional plugin or anything. All you have to do is go up to Edit Page. I guess, actually, go back really quick. You can see this is a pretty complex layout. It's a kind of common thing that you would see on a home page. We have a big banner image, a call to action. We have kind of different quotes and different sections, a little bit more about kind of the service. And this was inspired because I am totally addicted to Animal Crossing, and in Animal Crossing, I'm a fashionista. So I kind of went with that idea and just kind of went crazy. So the services, testimonials. So, you know, these are a lot of the things that you would want on a homepage if you're offering services or have a business, a contact area, the blog, kind of a quick little thing about the blog, people that they've worked with, and so forth. Okay, so pretty complex, pretty nice. We'll go to Edit Page. All right, so here, this is our setup. So if you're familiar with Gutenberg, this should look really similar to what you're used to. Some things to take notice is that this is using a additional plugin called Advanced Gutenberg Blocks, I believe. And there's a lot out there. We can take a look at that as well. But so this is using advanced columns to set this up. So this is a block that you can add, and we can go up here and add a new block. Maybe, there we go. Ultimate add-ons, I'm sorry. So the ultimate add-ons blocks is all of these advanced blocks. So things like post grid, post masonry. These are things that you're going to find in the other page builders, a section, a testimonial, a team section, icon list, social shares, and stuff like that. So a lot of different things that you can add to your layout, even different schemas like an FAQ schema. So it's really a nice little add-on for Gutenberg because it just kind of takes it beyond the basics of, you know, the common blocks like paragraph and image and headings. All right, so here we have advanced columns, and that's how they kind of that's how we kind of did the layout here. We have a background on the advanced column. Over here we have the background settings. So we have the image and the settings for the image. You can see that all of the settings are still over on the right, just like everything else in Gutenberg. And then we have kind of another column here. This is just a regular column, and that has then kind of the content area. And then you'll see on this page in Gutenberg that there's a lot of blocks that have invalid or unexpected content. My guess is that I added this in as a block, and then this happens from time to time in Gutenberg that it just doesn't know what to do with it. It doesn't know how to display it. So it just says, I think this is valid, but you can convert it to HTML or you can have me try and fix it. So it is valid. It's the little buttons for read more and schedule or something like that. And so then if you go back to preview, you can kind of see it. You lose the formatting, but it's there. So that's one thing that I think is a con, that it doesn't quite know how to display some of the things. You'll see it there in these different areas. But for the most part, it works and it's really fast. And you have your complex layout that you can go in and build out. So these are, again, are just not tables, columns. And then this is an advanced column. So they're using a lot of these advanced columns. This is a section, which is an outer wrap. And then you have your columns within that, that you can kind of build out. So the idea of things are nested, I think in core Gutenberg is kind of a newish idea that they're building out still, but in these additional plugins, it's something that's super common. So let's take a look. I was doing an experiment earlier. Again, this plugin I'm using is Ultimate Add-ons for Gutenberg. It's by Brainstorm Force. And they have ultimate add-ons for Elementor and for Beaver Builder as well. So they're known for their add-ons to different page builders. If we click on Add New and go to Gutenberg Blocks, you'll see that there's a lot of these that are similar. So this is the one I'm using right now. But there's so many, and I don't know, Sarah, do you have any experience with any of these? I've used atomic blocks before as well. And then there's some that are very specific to
I've used Atomic blocks. I've used Cadence blocks.
Cadence
those are
blocks.
kind of my standard ones.
Yeah.
And then I use ACF, Advanced Custom Fields, to create my own custom blocks as well.
Oh, cool. I want to do that. That sounds like fun. Cool. So those are two other good ones. I will say that I was working on a site. I was trying to do all in Gutenberg. And I did install one of these kind of add-on blocks, and it was one that I hadn't used before, and it slowed down the site tremendously. So be careful, read the reviews. If you install it, test it out and see if it's going to work for what you need. But just keep in mind that these are all custom coded things. And so with that, there's always an introduction of just code that will slow down your site as well. And I wish I remember which one it was, but I don't. So, any questions about Gutenberg? Any thoughts? Okay, let's keep on going to Elementor. Has anybody used Elementor before? Hey, the rain is stopping. That's good. So Elementor is more of one of those classic page builders, I would say. It was made first to be a page builder, whereas Gutenberg, I think, was made first to just be an editor for WordPress. So that's kind of a difference there. But some of the features, it works with any WordPress theme. So some other builders are popular, like the Divi is very much connected with a theme. They now have a builder that's will work with any theme, but for the most part, if you have Divi, you also have their theme. There's mobile ready layouts. So for the most part, I've had some issues here and there, but for the most part, your layout is ready for mobile. You don't have to do a lot of things to make it look good on mobile. It supports widgets and shortcodes, so you can add those in as elements. It offers global widgets to reuse in your layouts on multiple pages. And it has some nice import and export features. So if you need to export it to somewhere else, to another site or so. Oh, cool. Hobby used Elementor to build a nonprofit basic site. So import-export features to move it from one site to another. So if you have a similar layout, it works well for that. Okay, and Dee is learning it too. And Rick has Elementor Pro and Astra. Yes, I love those two combinations as well. Cool. So I think we have a few that are familiar with it. So there's a wide variety of content, widgets and templates. There's a colorful user interface. There's a free version that I think is really extensive. You can do a lot with the free version. Whereas Beaver Builder, I feel like you can't do as much, but I've used Beaver Builder for a really, really long time, so that's why I keep comparing it. But I think the price to upgrade is really, really great. It's $49 a year, and that's not going to break the bank for a lot of people. When you get into WordPress, you kind of get used to that you're going to pay for a plugin or a theme now and then, and so it's nice that this one's so accessible. Some cons, the interface can be slow at times. Lots of scrolling in the widget panel. I feel like I'm always, and I think you get faster as you get used to it, but I feel like I'm always scrolling up and down to find what I need. The interface can be unintuitive at times, and I think this is kind of more of a personal preference of what is intuitive to you, but but I've seen that as a just as a feedback for it. Okay, I'm going to move this over here. That works. So time to build, I think it's very quick. There is a lot of scrolling and a lot of clicking, so that kind of adds to the time a little bit, but it is pretty quick to just kind of get it going. Speed, Elementor is one of the quickest for, oh, I'm so sorry. Let's go back. So there's no huge speed influence there. It's still very fast. The responsive, I have 4 because I feel like there are times where the layout just does not work on the phones and tablets. It is fairly easy though to give it a different look on a phone and tablet. So you can hide sections, you can do all kinds of things so that you can kind of control that as well. Ease of use, this is again kind of a personal thing. I've had some clients that love Elementor and don't like Beaver Builder, and others that just did not get Elementor and really like Beaver Builder. So I think it comes down to personal preference of what makes sense to you. It has really, really good ratings. They have tons of installs. They're pretty much the builder of choice, I feel like, out there. And complex layouts are really easy to do. I like all of the templates that they have to start out with and so forth. Okay, so let's go back to our Fashionista website. And this one is tmelementor.wpmudev.host. So you can see similar layout. One thing I noticed when I was doing this is I could not get, you could with CSS, but it was a lot harder to get kind of these buttons to look right. So on the Gutenberg one is just kind of links, but here it's a nice little button with animation and so forth. But pretty much the same content. I think this blog section is a little nicer down here too. Yeah, I was able to kind of stylize that a little bit more. Okay, so let's click on Edit with Elementor. So with a page builder, if you're not familiar with page builders a lot, there's 2 kind of edit interfaces. You have the edit page, which is your WordPress core editor. This is still important to get into at times if you need to change the permalink or change settings for your theme or do kind of Yoast or SEO keywords and stuff like that. That's all going to be in the editor, the WordPress editor. From here, you can click on Edit with Elementor, or from the front page, you can also click on Edit with Elementor. That shows up in the admin bar there. So that will take you into the Elementor interface. And that's something that adds kind of a little bit of complexity with page builders. Okay, so with Elementor, the idea is they're kind of like blocks, but you're clicking and dragging to add them. So, and this is a bad one because that's an intersection. So say we want the heading, we want a new heading to go there. We're clicking and dragging, and then we're clicking within the text, and we can type text here, or we can type the text over here. And then you have options for your styling. It should grab the styling from your theme, but if you haven't set up colors that work within that area, then you can always go and change up the styling to what you need it to be. Oh, excuse me. For different elements, like buttons or a video, you have a lot of different items that you can add it here. So you can add in a button, and we have lots of different styling options for the button to make it look more like a button and less just like a link. We even have, this is kind of their claim to fame in a way. They have a lot of animations that you can add. I go back and forth whether I like this. It adds a little something to the page, but too much can, I think, get to be too distracting from the content. You have options for background and all kinds of things, including some custom, that needs the Pro version, but in the Pro version, you can add your custom CSS as well. Let's see, you have images and dividers and Google Maps. These are all of your basic widgets, and then you can see that they've divided out their Pro, and then over here on their general, these are also free. So, and trying to think, yeah. So you have a couple different kind of combo items here, and testimonials, and kind of your newer, not newer, but more complex or more nuanced widgets. So dragging and dropping, you can go in and kind of add different columns. So let's go back up to the columns, and I'll show you kind of how that, must be a really big section. There we go. Add a new column and have inner columns down here also, or you can also go on any of the areas and click on the plus, and then you can go in and add a new structure. So a new structure with your columns and different widths and so forth. What I really like is you can also go in and click on the little folder icon, and you have a whole bunch of blocks and pages that are just samplings of what you can do with Elementor. So and some of these are free and some are Pro, but that might be all the free ones at the top. Okay. So you can go in and kind of look at the layout, see what you like, and a lot of times kind of look at the layout, not necessarily for the image or the colors, but just kind of for how things are laid out. So there's a banner image, there's kind of a call to action, there's some nice little kind of images and text, a video. If that's kind of something that you want to go with, then it's a good idea to kind of add it to start out with. So you can kind of see the different ones are here. So this is a course site, it looks like. So how to make a website is the name of the course, and then there's like a little YouTube of kind of a little demo of the course, and then kind of who's it for and the teachers, and the different facilities, and a map of where the course is taking place. So there's a lot of different kind of starter templates that are really nice to just kind of get started and build out from there. I always think that it's easier to start with something and change it up than it is starting from scratch. And I'm not a designer at heart, so that's probably a difference for me. As someone that's more of a web designer would probably have something mocked up first and then want to build it out. So yeah, we have the contact page also has different elements. This is a really nice kind of add-on that you can kind of crop it with a little accent there. But these are really nice, easy ways of kind of getting your site put together. See what the content, yeah, it's not quite as curvy, but they still were able to do it. And the form is just a short code, so that's fairly easy to add in. And the background here. So the big thing here is that Gutenberg has the columns idea, and then you can kind of start building out from there. Cool, cool. Let's see. Yeah, I think that's what I have. Any questions about Elementor? I see Elementor and Beaver Builder with a big happy face. What was your kind of history with that? Did you start with one and then go to the other, or do you like one over the other? I don't know. So my experience is I've used to use Beaver Builder exclusively. I love Beaver Builder. I used it a lot. And I still really like it. I still use it for a lot of sites. But what drew me to Elementor, besides it being so popular within my audience, is that it was just so accessible to price. For the layouts I was doing in Beaver Builder, I was paying upwards of $200, I want to say almost $300 a year for all of the different pieces. And because I was using the theme, and then I was using an additional add-on called Themer to do more complex things. And so that's a lot. That's a lot for an individual to ask an individual to pay for. And as long as they work with me, then I can, I have the agency license. But when they want to go off on their own, which, a lot of people want to, and they want to maintain their site on their own, then they have to then turn around and get a license themselves. So it became kind of a blocking point at that point. And when I started getting into Elementor, I saw that I could do a lot of the similar things. And we talked a little bit about Astra. Both of these sites were done with Astra. And it gives you a lot of flexibility, and $49 is a lot easier to swallow than $300 to get your site going and on its way. So Sarah, anything else you think I should cover? Oops, I never changed that.
I think that covers everything I can think of. Does anyone have any questions? You can use the chat or unmute and ask them. Does anyone have any just general WordPress questions? All right, well, oh, here we go.
Someone just starting out, how should they start with WP? I would say start out with Astra. I don't know. Do you want to answer this, Sarah, or do you want me to?
Have at it.
Okay. So one thing I love about Astra is an additional plugin that they have that is called Astra Starter Sites. And the starter templates are really nice because they give you, again, a place to start out with. And so you can kind of go in and pick a general layout. It doesn't have to be the pictures or the color scheme or anything like that, but just a general layout. And they work really well with the builders. So you can pick which builder you want to play with. And then just go try it out and set up a site. It'll set up all 3 pages or 4 pages for you. And so you can kind of go in and play with the different elements. If you're interested in like videos and stuff like that, I have a YouTube channel that has a lot of videos. I'm happy to share that resource, but but yeah, if you're willing to just kind of play with it, and Astra and their starter sites, I think, is a great way to go forward. I'm just Techie Mama on YouTube, so I'll send that out to everybody.
And we'll post all this information plus the recording on our Facebook page later this afternoon.
Cool.
Someone was wondering which was better for e-commerce.
They both work really well. They both work really well with WooCommerce and easy digital downloads, which are the two that I'm most familiar with for e-commerce. Is there a specific one that you're using, or is it WooCommerce? Or are you still just exploring what e-commerce to use as well? There's just so many different places. Samcart, I don't know. Sarah, do you know Samcart?
I've never done anything with them.
Yeah, I haven't either. I have experience with WooCommerce and with Easy Digital Downloads, which is very specifically for digital products.
Yeah, those are really the only two I've done much with.
Yeah. Once you get more proficient, how long does it take you to make a simple 4 or 5 page website? If I have all of the content and color scheme and images, I would say a couple hours probably, especially if I'm starting out from a starter template. It would take me probably a couple hours, 3 or 4, to kind of get everything going. Because the starter templates are great, but you're having to change all the images and the colors and stuff like that. So it does take a little time to kind of get all of that right. But if I have all of that preset, which a lot of times I don't, because I'm working with the person to kind of go back and forth on, you know, what colors do you like and what fonts do you like and stuff like that. But I would say if I had all of that prepared, it would just be a couple hours. Yeah.
All right. Anyone have any other questions?
I'll put up my contact. I'm sorry about this URL. That was for WordCamp. Yeah, that's my presentation for WordCamp. So you're welcome to go look at it if you want. But this presentation is just OKWP meetup, I believe.
Do you see there was one other comment?
Yeah,
question?
on Samcart, you could have a site built quickly, but not sure for what is PPC.
Oh, pay-per-click.
Oh, for Google Ads. Yeah, well, there's integration in WordPress for like Google AdSense, or I guess Google Ads.
Yeah, I know WooCommerce has a lot of tie-in for that. So
Yeah.
WooCommerce probably isn't, I mean, you can do it pretty quickly just using a theme that already has everything set up for it. It's probably not going to be quite as quick as Samcart, it sounds like. But I know, I mean, there are very large stores that use WooCommerce and use Google Ads. So anything you want to do with Google Ads, I would imagine you can with WooCommerce at least.
Yeah, for sure. I would say the same thing. I don't have a lot of experience with it, but just the amount of stores that run on WooCommerce, I would think that you can do just about anything.
All right, I will post all this afternoon. Thank you, Cosette, for coming and sharing with us today. Cosette also sponsors our Zoom channel so that we can not be cut off at 40 minutes every month, which is always nice. So I hope to see everyone next month, and have a good rest of the day.
Thank you.